Welcome to the MADTING. Today I want you guys to introduce you to Kimani. Hello Kimani, you alright?
Yeah, I'm great, thanks. How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks. First of all, thank you so much for being my guest and for taking part of your time and come here. Thank you so much, I appreciate it.
Oh, you're so welcome. Thank you for inviting me. Really appreciate it.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure.
Thank you.
I know you a little bit, but I want you to feel free to introduce yourself and tell us why the journey start and how the journey start. So feel free now to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about.
Sure. So I am Kimani, as as you said, and I'm a trauma recovery consultant and a post-traumatic growth specialist. I got into this because a very long time ago, I come out of an abusive childhood and it really affected my mental health, and during that journey I realised that there was a huge gap in the mental health system whereby it was very stigmatised, you wanted to hide it, there wasn't very much help in regards to feeling felt or understood, and there was just a basic lack of humanity. And I just thought, you know what, actually, let me rewind. I actually had a cancer scare, and that was kind of the catalyst for me to actually find other alternative ways of healing.
Wow.
And then I did that, and through this journey I thought, you know what, there needs to be more. People need to do better, and clearly no one's listening in this industry. And it burned me, literally burned me, to know that there were people that felt how I was feeling. Wow. Not so long ago. That cancer scare, obviously the tumours were benign, and it was just like, wow. But it was just in that period of time that I thought, my gosh, I don't know where I'm going to be, because it was that not knowing. Am I too far gone? I had a young son, and that's when it hit me. What do I have? I have no legacy. I'm not doing anything. I'm too scared. You know, these things really affected me, and because of that, what would my son know of his mother if I was to leave this earth today? And I was like, no, this is too much. This is not my life, and I don't want it to be anybody else's life. They deserve to be felt, they deserve to be heard, and they deserve an alternative way of feeling and knowing that that's available to them, that the issue isn't them, sometimes it's the system itself. And so that's why I'm doing what I'm doing today, is to provide something other than what people are currently receiving, and hopefully to make a change in the system that we currently have.
Oh, that's great. That's
Thank
great.
you.
And I will say, there is, after you say that, there is any strategies after recovery for trauma, or any steps you will say?
Any steps that they need to take? Yeah, I mean, trauma, it's such kind of a wide range of different things. You've got little t and big T traumas, but even the little t's can affect you so greatly. For example, you know, being cut off, or I came from a family where children should be seen and not heard, and this developed into a stammer. It developed into me not being able to communicate my needs, not in relationships, not at work, not anywhere, and so I was always very quiet. My friends used to call me Sherlock Shubs because I was partying. I used to be a party animal, but I was very, very quiet, and I just used to observe. But this is unhealthy, you know, and so this greatly affects you, almost in a way that a big trauma would. So don't kind of be flippant about the little things that you've been through either. Big traumas, obviously you've got to go through a period of grief, because sometimes you're losing yourself, and you need to grieve for that previous self, as well as you know, things that have happened to you, as well as the fact that sometimes you can't get revenge, or sometimes you can't get that closure. And so these things, you need to go through that period of grief. A lot of people, they feel that they've moved on from it, but trauma isn't something that you can move on from. It's always going to come and affect you, either instantly or with time. So addressing it and moving through it is amazing, and you do that by really listening to your needs. If you just need to veg out for a while, do that so that you can grieve, but move through so that you can go through the process then of understanding what it is that you're feeling, what you need, and ultimately heal. You know what I mean? Because even with big traumas, they say, oh, you know, all wounds heal in time. Sometimes they don't. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sometimes they don't. But what you are left with is scars. You carry certain wounds differently, and those scars become words of wisdom for the next generation or people going through the same thing.
That's true.
So it's not that it's always gone. Sometimes it's just carried differently. So it's just perspective, really, and making sure that you're doing the best with what you have. By doing the best for yourself, really. So
That's true.
yeah.
So now you're saying about going through the process. Do you will say never put a day to heal, or just take your time and you will heal?
Yeah, everybody goes through the process differently. You could be identical twins experiencing the exact same thing, but you're going to be feeling it differently. So I call it toxic comparison when you're watching other people while they moved on.
Exactly, that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, you can't be doing that to yourself, because that's self-abuse. Do you know what I mean? So if you come out of an abuse, yeah, and a lot of people do that. They come out of something abusive and continue to abuse themselves, and that's why it lasts so long. There's a difference between going through a trauma and continuing suffering. Do you know what I mean? That there is the choice. Obviously, there's going to be a period of grieving. Yes, that's part of the process of healing. You feel the suffering, but you're moving through it. But if you stay there, you're choosing to stay stuck. You're choosing to abuse yourself.
That's true.
You know, so, and unfortunately this is something that's so common, and it's really so. I did it for over 10 years. Do you know what I mean? I love a very, very, very long time after I escaped this thing. So I would just advise to know how you're feeling, but take action. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the biggest part of it. Take action, whether that is crying, whether that is going, because this is called catharsis. Yeah, it's one of my favourite things, because a person doesn't just feel what they're feeling with the mind. The process moves through them in all aspects, energetically, emotionally, psychologically, even somatically. Do you know what I mean? For example, if I say, okay, now transport yourself to somewhere and you're holding this ice cream, and if you really think about it, and it's like lemon sherbet, if you really think about it, your mouth will start salivating, because our body responds to everything. And it's also an energetic thing, because you remember how you feel on an energetic level, you remember the vibe, everything. So if you do that, you need to understand how you work as a human being. Great. You're not a meat machine.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, you're expansive and wonderful. You hold a whole universe inside. So understanding how your world works is absolutely essential.
That's great.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Yeah, whole body and mind work together.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
And is any schedule or strategies you follow, or every client or every person is different? Like, or you follow, okay, that's the schedule I follow for every type of trauma or person.
Yeah, you see, this is part of the problem with clinical therapy, because they have a blanket CBT, and the thing with this is that it doesn't always work. I think there was a study, and it said that 70% of the clients who go through CBT it doesn't work on. I don't want people to at me.
No, because it's your opinion, so don't worry about it.
It does work for some, but not for the majority. And these are the people that come to me, it's not going to work because I've already done this. I'm like, just give it a try. It's not you, it's the system, because they're treating you as a robot, as a meat machine.
Exactly,
like
a number.
And that's not the case. Like I said, everybody's different. And so I work in a bespoke way that's significant to each person that comes to me. I do use the modalities that I'm qualified in, so I use shadow work a lot, because that's a massive healer, and that's what I was talking to you about getting to know thyself is the biggest thing. So this kind of takes you into the unconscious part of yourself, getting to know your emotions, getting to know your body somatically, getting to know yourself psychologically, but more importantly, you becoming your higher self and processing out of the mind and into this neutral part of yourself that is kind of, this higher space, the real you. It's like you're looking down on your life, and so you're changing your whole perspective. So I use this modality, and of course building people up as well, using modalities like NLP, and then going into integrating different parts and different stages of life through inner child therapy and stuff like that, and there's loads of different other things that I do as well, but these are the three main core bits for when it comes to trauma that I use. That's
great. So it's actually using a schematic system for you.
Yeah. But when people come to me, I do something that I call information finding first, because it's important for me to know where they are. For example, some people can just jump straight into shadow work. Some people first need to be built up.
Okay.
I call this laying the foundations. If you build a house and you don't have a strong foundation, what's going to happen?
That should make sense, yeah.
The house is going to fall down. It's going to be shaky and weak. You're going to break easily. So this is making sure that the resilience that you build from this foundation is going to be solid. You might bend, but you won't break.
But you never break. That's
right,
true.
you know, and that's kind of how I offer my services to
No,
my
that's
clients.
great. And after you saying that,
Yeah.
it was hard to go back to a trauma, or like you said before, you still got scars. So, or will actually is 90%. I'm not gonna say impossible, but kind of difficult to go back to a trauma after you healed.
Yeah, of course. Because look, after you've healed, you mean? When you've healed, your trauma becomes a story, and this is how we've all grown throughout. From the beginning of man, we've grown through stories, traumatic stories of danger, of adventure. And let's face it, life would be boring without traumas, because we'd have nothing to say, we'd have nothing to do, we wouldn't grow, we'd just be like babies our whole life. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying be grateful for, no, that's not what I'm saying. And I'm not saying what doesn't kill you only makes you strong. I'm not a believer of that. What I'm a believer of is you've always had this power inside you. You didn't need that to happen to have this strength, but it does let you know your own strength and power. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It helps to burst these bubbles of comfortability. And you need to, in order to grow, you have to get uncomfortable. When seeds grow, they have to split. Yeah,
That's true.
they have to break completely, and then they reach the light. This is the nature of humans. We're part of nature.
No, I'm agree with you. I'm
Yeah.
really agree with you.
And for traumas, like if you're going through the trauma, you're healing. In your healing journey, I use a process called pendulation. Because going back there, it can be re-traumatizing if you're just going to relive it and relive it and relive it.
Well, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, so pendulation is, like when you've got a pendulum and it swings, right? So it's basically having your safe space and knowing your limits and saying, you know what, I'm ready to come out of here now and come here, and going back and doing it like partly here and partly there, because like I said, you go to your higher space, your higher self. But sometimes you can get sucked into the story. So when you feel that happen, you go to your safe space, get neutral again, higher self. I call it calling upon the observer, because that's what you're doing.
This is amazing.
Yeah, and so I use this process. It's just as effective, but a hell of a lot more gentle, and so the healing process is quicker.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And is or you don't recommend this, like self care of trauma, or you'll advise no, go straight for help? If I want to, somebody asks you, what can I do, Kimani, for do some self recovery, or you never advise that? You always advise to help.
No.
Could be worse if you actually do it to yourself.
Try and do it to yourself.
Yeah.
It can be. Obviously, there are things that you can do to help yourself, and every single tool that I give, it's for people to keep, because my thing, my tag, my dream, my mission actually is to create generational health. Okay, so the tools that I give, I want to make someone well and healthy and pass this on to their children, their nieces, their nephews, their friend's child, their auntie. So have this for life, get healed, because I don't want a world like this where people just feel like they have to just hide themselves and deny that they're not feeling great and put on a fake smile. No. Be real with who you are, get through it, heal, and let other people be in that space, because when you have a child or someone around you who's also not feeling great, it triggers you and you don't want to be around them. They're energy vampire, they're this, they're that, it makes you put them down even more, and in that way you're putting yourself down, because you're also feeling in this way.
That's true.
Do you know what I mean? So again, it's abuse and projection of this same abuse, and it just keeps going around. So why can't we change the cycle and reverse it and create a healthier world?
That's true.
You know what I mean? So yes, there are definitely things that you can do. For example, anchors to life, right? when someone is feeling depressed or when someone has gone through a trauma, automatically the body, it's so clever, it's like, right, we need to heal. So it stops you from it's studying, it's too overwhelming. Being with this person now, it's too overwhelming. Being around friends, I can't be bothered, I just want to be in my... It takes you away from life.
That's true.
You know, but the thing is, when you're not conscious of your own healing, when you're not healing consciously, you allow this to take place, and so you lose these anchors to life, and when you do that, you end up stuck in this feeling. You know,
true.
So self-discipline, I've got a book actually called Discipline, a Sister to Love.
I'm gonna write it down now.
I'll share it with your followers if you like.
Oh yes please.
Yeah, so when we grow up, I mean, I don't know what household you grow up in, but discipline was big in my household, right? And so we have this kind of fear of discipline. We don't want to hear about discipline. We can't be bothered with discipline. However, discipline is here. When you love someone, it requires discipline. You can't be all like fancy free anymore. You've also got to consider that person. But why don't we often and every day consider ourselves? We're always doing so much for others, right? And so it's just looking at discipline in a whole completely different way, in how can it be helpful and an act of love rather than seeing it as a punishment for oneself.
That's true.
You know, so that's a big thing, is allowing people to be in our space and say, hey, what's going on? Allowing ourselves to speak and be vulnerable, which can be hard because some people...
Exactly. I'm agree. Now you saying this, it's true, because I think this generation, they think, speak about what they're feeling, they see like a weakness. I'm not agree with that. Like, open, don't keep that inside you. But I think this generation just see these kind of things like, oh no, that's a weakness, I'm not gonna open that. And like you say, could be worse in the future. Can you actually hurt somebody because you've been keeping things?
Yeah.
So
I have a saying. It's called, "What is left to rot will fester." So what you leave there, and you just leave and leave and leave, it will grow and it will kick up a stink in your life, and not just in your life, in everybody else around you as well.
Exactly. Right? No, that's true.
So yeah, like addressing it. I can understand why people see it as a weakness, because other people can use it as a weapon.
No, that's true.
And that's not just friends or partners. Or it's also the mental health industry. I've had clients come to me with this. I've had it done to me years ago as well, having the information that I've given used against me. So I get it. But vulnerability is not a weakness. It's a huge strength. And getting through it with the understanding that not everyone's going to take the deliverance. Do you know what I mean? The way it's meant to. It is a big thing. You've got to know, or be a good judge of, or use your intuition even, of the certain jobs of certain people, right? Yeah, and I know that sounds crazy, like I know that sounds crazy, but bear with me. Like, for example, if you're going through this depression, you can't be sitting with your happy-go-lucky friend telling them all your problems, because that's not them, and it's very triggering, and it's
okay.
You know what I mean? With this happy-go-lucky friend, there's something called energy transference, right?
No, I'm agree with you as well in that one. Yeah,
even sunflowers, right? When there's not a lot of sun, they'll turn to each other and energy transfer.
Oh my god, that's so great you come up with that point, because I'm actually agree with you. Sometimes I feel like you're my friend, I know you for a lot of years, but I don't feel that energy to tell you this. It's not because I don't trust you, but I'm not feeling it, or you're gonna feel my energy the same way. I'm actually agree with you with that one.
Yeah, exactly. Like, let me give you an example, right? Let's say someone in someone's family had died, right? And you're in total grief. There are 4 types of people. I call them the response unit. Okay, first response unit are the people that get bigged up all the time. They're the first on the scene. Oh my god, hugging you. Are you okay? Oh my god, I can't believe this is happening, right? And everybody loves these. Okay, and they're great. But then what about the second, third, and fourth? Do you know what I mean? A lot of people only have a lot of time for these first response unit people. But these first response unit people don't always have the energy to listen to your problems either, because they take on so much in that first instance. So they need a lot of time too. I'm both the first and the fourth, right? And I'll come to that. The second response unit, I call them the feeders. They're the people who will come around with food and check if you're okay. Do you know what I mean? And just sit with you, and, you know, just for a short time. They're okay, I'm here for an hour or two, but that's enough.
But we're
And
not
I'll
gonna
make sure that you're
okay,
good.
yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Just checking that you're good. And the third response team, I like to call the organisational team, because what they do is they'll come round and they'll get shit done, basically. A lot of people don't really like these type of people because they seem bossy, they seem like they're emotionless, but it's not that they don't feel grief or that they don't feel you, but they're just like, look, this needs to happen now. They're the real ones in your life. They're the ones that will tell you about yourself, but it'll be real so that you can check yourself and get yourself together. Do you know what I mean? So these are the people that will help you do the funeral arrangements. These are the people that will say, sis, you need to have a bath, you're kicking up. They'll help you clean your house. They'll help you to get stuff done, right? Just as important as the first two as well. And then you have the final ones. Okay, these are the ones that I call the life givers. These are the fourth response teams. These are the people that generally get, well, where were you when this was happening? But they're so important because they're the ones that will bring you out of your depression, get you back into enjoying life, take you out to parties, take you out to lunch, get you connected again to the anchors of life. And this is how you can help yourself, is being open to your resources, to these people, and understanding who they are, what they're for, and accepting them for who they are. You can't put everything on everyone. Not everyone can be everything to someone.
That's true.
Do you know what I
Thank
mean?
God you say that one, because actually the fourth type of people,
Yeah.
I thought I never need them in my life, but now you're saying that
Yeah,
I actually need
they're
them.
one of the most important people, because these are the people that won't keep you stuck. Like if you constantly got the first response unit there, what you're going to get is they're there,
Hear what you want.
enabling you to stay in your depression and your
Okay.
grief. These other ones pull you out. They're like, nah man, come on, let's go and do something. And even though you don't want to, and you're just like, you go out, and it brings you back into the present.
Wow.
And not stuck into the past. So do you see the importance?
Wow.
Keeping yourself open to these people and understanding that not everyone's the same, and accepting them for who they are so they can in turn accept you is going to be an absolute game changer. So this is one of the ways in which you can help yourself, but also understanding that these people aren't your therapists, right? And so going and actually getting someone like this who is a professional,
Okay.
who knows what they're doing, will help you to better be able to be communicative to your outside support network. So you have your support network of friends and family, and then you have your professional support network to help guide you through
Exactly.
this thing, because co-creation of your healing is so like, I cannot even stress to you how important that it is to have someone who knows exactly what they're doing to get you through the really deep bits. Because anyone else, they can only ever do the surface level stuff. Even you yourself at home, you'll only be able to do the surface level stuff because you can't both be conscious and unconscious at the same time.
That's true.
You're either working on autopilot, I call this white noise, when everything's numb, and then you're not going through anything consciously at all, right? Or you're conscious and you're just like, I don't want to feel that, don't want to think about that. You're constantly
avoiding.
pushing it away, and you're like, I'm cool, I'm good. You're not though. Do you know what I mean? So finding someone who's professional can help you to pendulate between the two in a healthy way, so that you are healing and bringing that crap up, so that you are actually healed and you are good.
Okay, so
know?
friends and family is part of the process, but it's not the 100% of the
Massive
full
part
process.
of the process, yeah. And so are you as well. So you working on your own emotion, because only you understand you. Do you know, not your therapist isn't going to understand fully who you are, your friends, you know you on the most deepest and most intimate level, and only you can do the work. These therapists or coaches or counsellors can only ever act as a guide for you to do your work. You know what I mean? And that's the most important thing to get through this deeper layer of
Oh, that's amazing.
yeah,
That's
of
amazing.
healing.
You came with that point, because I always thought, oh no, just leave him alone. He will recover himself. Always I thought I was that type of person to say. I always say, oh no, just give it space, give it alone. But now you're saying that actually that's the worst thing you can say to someone. Leave him alone, he will recover himself.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, sometimes some people do need space to process. It's true, but the main thing as a friend, if you have a friend that's going through this stuff, the main thing that you can do is get your group of friends together who knows what's going on. Don't just chat people's business, but who knows what's going on, and these 4 response units, understand who's who in this point, right? And then have your response units, and know your friend, and so you know what their hobbies are, what their interests are, what They like doing what they, need from time to time. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so make sure that their anchors, their personal anchors to life, are catered for. Even if it's just an offer. Have you ever seen Pooh Bear? No. The book, Pooh Bear and Christopher Robin.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and they've got this one depressed friend, Eeyore, and he's just down, but he's always included.
Yeah, that's true.
Be like Pooh Bear. Do you know what I mean? If your friend's depressed, cool, still invite him out. Okay, come, we're doing this. And eventually they'll become more and more and more present with you. Do you know what I mean?
Good point. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's good for know that. Even now learning a lot, you can imagine how much I'm learning now. I love with this. Wow, that's amazing.
Thank
you. I will want to ask you this. Do you need to break down until you find the roots of the problem, and you actually need to break down to heal, or there is no need to, or you actually need to break down properly, like you said, like you just sit and you need to split for growth?
Not really. I'll be honest. People think that therapy or healing is a means to an end. It's not. It should be a way of life. It should be something that's taught to your children. It should be something that we do just instinctively. It should be mandatory in schools, I believe, right? But people often wait until, like I was talking to you about with this cancer scare thing, people often wait until this big drama before they actually take action and do something about it. Yeah. But this healing process, this checking in on yourself, doesn't have to be something because you're feeling some type of way. It should just be a daily experience, like having that 5 minutes with a cup of tea. How am I feeling right now? Someone said something and it's made you feel some type of way, checking in. Why am I feeling this way now? Do you know what I mean? Because then this is using your intuition. It's exercising your spiritual self, your psychological self, your emotional. It's exercising your whole being, and not only that, you're constantly maintaining your peace. Wow. So the maintenance of peace should be an everyday thing, like eating food and drinking water. But often people wait till this breaking point to actually do something about it. You know?
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah,
that's amazing. And I want to, because when after I asked you before about any self-care I can do about health trauma, do you want to go through again to that? Because you say you're not right, but it wasn't alright in the same place. So how can you explain it's alright? Why is it right to do your self-care after trauma, or why is it not right to do? You want to go through about that one?
Yeah, sure. So it's good to do your own self-care because you've got to anyway. It should be a daily thing. This is what I advise my clients. Like, I'm not working with you if you're not implementing what I'm teaching you, because we're wasting each other's time. End of story. Do you know what I mean? So you've got to do your self-care, otherwise that's it for me. I want more than even the person that I'm working with to see them healed, because I see this as witnessing miracles constantly. I don't know if you've ever seen the fast film of a flower blooming.
Okay.
When I see a life change, or that light click on, because there's like a 12-week period, and that's my sweet spot. I'm not saying a person's completely healed, but that's when this massive turnaround happens, and it's like seeing a miracle. It's like seeing life bloom, and the person's like, wow, I am the shit. And I didn't even know it. It's like they see what I see, and I'm like, yes, fam. You know,
so they come with different point of view of life.
Yeah, and you know what happens? It's so hard to explain what this feel. I'm getting goosebumps.
Wow.
Because it's so hard to explain what this feeling
you love your
is
job.
like. I love it, and I've been through it, so I know what they're not like exactly, because no one can feel what they feel, but I understand what they're feeling. Like, because there comes a point where you look back on your life and you're like, "Raw, was that me? Is that really what I thought of myself?" And look at me now, slaying. Do you know what I mean?
Nice.
Like, it's like almost this wasn't even your life. It's like there's a gap. There's a like. Was this really me? Wow.
I know what you mean now.
Do you know what I mean? It's like you're looking back on someone's life, and you've got to kind of remind yourself that this was you. It's like, wow,
I was
do you know
there.
What I mean? You're like, yeah, that was me. This is my experience. That's crazy. And this is how you hold things differently, right? Wow. This is how the wound becomes a scar, because it's still there. You know that this was you. However, you're carrying it differently, and it's used differently. Instead of it being used to pull you down and you're ashamed of it, and you own that. And you use it, you utilize it now as a weapon. What was once your weakness is now your weapon to help regenerate others and their healing. You know, to tell your story in such an amazing way that it inspire. One story can inspire the whole world.
That's true.
You know.
That's true.
And this is the beauty of it. So yes, working on yourself is great, it's wonderful. However, co-creation, like I've just said, is the best thing. One story can change the world. One person can change your world, you know, and in turn there's that ripple effect. I have a client, she's actually becoming my protege because she's amazing. I met her on the 7th of December 3 years ago. Wow. And she was just about to commit suicide. She was through a referral, right? She thought that she was stupid. She'd been told that her whole life. She thought that she was worthless. She thought that she was nothing. She had this sweet spot stage as well. Now she's gone to college. She's studied psychology.
I'm really
she's studied shadow work. She's a professional counsellor.
Wow.
She's making waves 3 years on. And she's like, I can't believe, I've actually believed I was stupid because my teacher told me this. It's not her. It's because the teacher has one way of teaching and doesn't understand that everybody's different. So this is what I'm saying. Don't watch no face. Don't listen to what no one's got to say. You are, as much as we're connected and wonderful and a unit, we're also massively individual. Like a fingerprint, we're unique. Okay, so understand your own uniqueness.
Wow.
Know thyself and flow through it. Own it, you know. Wear it like a Superman or Superwoman badge. Because that's what it is. These are your superpowers, your gifts that God gave you. Utilise them. And don't think, oh, just because I'm not like this one, my gifts are less important. No. Sometimes they're even more so. So don't worry, you know.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And you got some lovely slogan. Do you mind to say it? Because I actually love that slogan you actually have in your WhatsApp as well. The power, use that as a power.
Oh yes.
Do you mind to tell us the slogan? It's
sure.
actually a lovely slogan. I really love it.
I help to. I actually teach people to transform their pain into power. Okay, and I do this by helping them understand the concept of relative to the mean. What that means is that all things even out. You'll have great times, amazing times, but they're not always going to last because that's not what life is. You're going to be depressed, but it's not permanent. All right. It will even out in time. Sometimes you'll just have times that are neutral too, you know. Things will pass, or it shall pass, okay? And I help people understand that whatever's happened to them, although they might feel broken, totally disconnected, numb, this is part of the process. But inside them, even if it's the tiniest ember, fan that damn shit, because it will turn into flames and will become your greatest power. Do you know what I mean? All these things that have happened to you will become your greatest power. See, my story, now making waves. This girl who I helped on the 7th of December, look at her. Do you know what I mean?
That's true.
Yeah, one world healed, many worlds transformed. It takes one.
That's true. So you will say never see yourself as a weakness, or never see this as a weakness. Like you say, you see it as a power, so boosted.
Yeah, there's a meme on Facebook, yeah, and I love it because it says, "What can I do?" said 7 billion people.
Wow.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it shows the concept of what can be done with unity and what can't be done with isolation.
That's true.
Don't keep yourself in isolation, because we weren't built that way. We're humans. We're social creatures. We're tribes people. That's who we are. It's who we've always been. Okay? And we're currently living in a system that isn't built for humanity. Right? It takes a village to raise a child is a very, very ancient saying. And there's a reason for that. Do you know what I mean? Like, we need each other for the co-creation of everything. Business, health, well-being, your mental wellness, you know, everything.
That's true.
So open yourself up to the possibility. I also wanted to talk to you about, I mentioned just a minute ago about things being permanent. It's not permanent, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Right, and there's something really important that I wanted to say, because recently it's been coming up so much on like places like Quora and on Instagram, and questions being asked, because the medical industry has somehow made people believe that depression is a permanent state, that you're lacking in something called serotonin. This has never been proven. It's never been proven.
Okay.
It's a fake statement, all right? And there's been studies in 2016, 17 and 18 to disprove this whole claim. It's got nothing to do with you lacking serotonin. In fact, they used hundreds and hundreds of people.
The serotonin is a hormone.
Yeah, serotonin is a chemical imbalance, and they call it a chemical imbalance. It's wrong. It's an emotional state, right? When you're in love, do you feel depressed? No, but it's not that you're lacking in this emotion.
Okay.
Right, it's just that you're in a different emotional state. When you're depressed, do you lack love? No.
No, that's true.
Right? You don't lack anything. Okay, and this is the point. People are made to feel like they're lacking in something. You're never lacking. You're not lacking, you're just not connected to what you have and who you are. And that's what I do.
Wow.
Reconnect you.
Reconnect. That's a great point.
Yes, right. So it's been proven that actually depression, it's just an emotional state, and all emotional states pass. Anger, happiness, sadness, grief. It's just an emotional state, but you can become stuck, yeah? And it's been proven in 2016, 17 and 18 that depression comes from having trauma, feeling sad, or being in a state of stress for a prolonged period of time. Nothing to do with being imbalanced, and it's definitely not permanent. Okay, so I just really wanted people to know this, because this misinformation is making people feel like this is it for me. It did with me. That's what I thought. This is it for me, because I was told you'll be medicated for the rest of your life. This is you now, and I was like, this is it. I'm going to be living in this personal hell for the rest of my life. No. Walking, talking proof that it's not true. And I just wanted other people to know that, and to understand that this is not the end for you. You know, put your bad bitch boots on.
Great message. No, great message.
Keep
Great message.
it
Because it's true. People go straight away to the medications. I think I'm always the opposite guy. Like no medication. Like try to find a way. But okay, if it's not another solution, go for that. But I think they always said another solution, but straight go to medication as well. I'm agreeing with that one.
Yeah, I mean, medications can help.
Chemicals.
It did with me to keep me kind of balanced in order to get through the majority of my healing. After that, medication should only ever be a temporary solution while you're going through what you're going through, just to kind of make sure that you're on an even keel. After that, you really should just be focusing on working towards your health. You can't just use medication as a crutch, because what you're essentially doing is numbing yourself to what's actually going on. So you'll find a lot of people who are on one medication, they'll need to increase that medication, then take a secondary medication, get side effects, and then need to have another medication to counteract the side effects of those medications, and it just keeps expanding. Like I said, everything expands, yeah? It just keeps growing. So until you actually address the cause, you're never actually going to get through the issue itself. Do you know what I mean? You'll never reach that point of healing, which is massively important. That's what you want, but the pills aren't going to take you there. You are the only person who can take you there. Do you know what I mean? So if you do need to go on medication, or if you are on medication, use it as a tool, not a crutch. Use it as, okay, I might need this right now, but I don't want to be here forever. Do you know what I mean? This isn't permanent for me. I have a life to live. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, because the body get used to as well, and the consequences are not going to be good in the future if the body get used to this medication, because we're going back again. You can get like body used to, how can I explain, some addictive, and that can cause some traumas as well in the future as well for medications.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, it's not just medications that you can get addicted to. Addiction is massive. So to escape how you're feeling, you can be on Facebook all day because you don't want to face what's going on internally. You can be with friends and you can't spend a second alone because you can't stand to be by yourself with your own mind. You can constantly, with a toxic comparison, looking at other people, well, I'm not like this, I'm not, and you're putting people down. You can be searching for people online to cuss out, which you wouldn't generally do in your lifestyle, but because of this poison growing inside of yourself, it needs to release, but you're releasing it in the wrong way. So addictions come in all shapes and sizes, in all forms, like even to the point of feeling the need to control your friends or your children, or being too much in people's lives and being extra because you're feeling not in control of your own life. It's an addiction. That's right? True. So find out what your addictions are. Stop getting comfortable in this. I don't even know why it's called the comfort zone anyway, because it's not comfortable.
That's true. No, it's true. That makes some point. Yeah. Or get out of your comfortable zone. Like, it's not comfortable.
It's not comfortable. Do you know what
true.
I mean? But a lot of people don't answer the call to change.
Okay.
When they're in this comfort zone and then they start feeling depressed and they start feeling uncomfortable, for some reason they stay there, and they use different modalities in order to stay stuck. Understand what it is that you truly need, instead of constantly going after what you want. It's a very primal thing to not want to feel uncomfortable, and so in some respects we often like the feeling of this uncomfortability because it seems a lot safer than the unknown, or going back and feeling what we felt. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So sometimes this is where the discipline comes in. Sometimes we've got to say, listen, honey, this ain't for me. And sometimes you've got to do the hard things to get to the right place.
That's true. That's
know?
true. Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And I'm gonna say, what you want to see the Kimani with all this knowledge you call, because it's amazing. I was just fascinated with all this knowledge. Where you want to see the Kimani in the 5 or 10 next years with all this knowledge?
Thank you so much. I would really like to normalise generational healing. I would like that to be a widespread concept in every continent. I would love for that to happen. I also want to go after my doctorate at some point next year. That's a massive thing, and I'm looking into at the moment creating retreats. Yeah, because sometimes people just need to get away from the space that they're in order to heal sufficiently. There's a saying that you can't heal where you found yourself sick. So sometimes you need to come out of your normality and be brave enough to do that, because when you go back to face it, you see it in a whole completely different light, and you're better able to do that. I also have some other things in the woodworks at the moment that I'm going to keep under wraps.
Wow!
But yeah, it's going to be big. I really do want to make waves with this. So yeah, I'm going to be looking to create a little team soon enough and make this dream happen. So
that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And nice. It's a nice goal. It's a really nice goal.
Thank you so much.
Wow. So Kimani, it was a pleasure to having you today.
Thank you.
You so much. Really, today you blow out my mind. I can't lie to you. And I know you're gonna help. You're gonna help a lot of people with this. And thank you so much. And again, more than welcome to come to the MADTING. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I've enjoyed everything. And also, guys, I'm going to be giving you a free gift as well, just for these viewers though. All right, don't be sharing that. It's just for you, and I'm sure that you'll give that to them.
Oh, thank you so much. Of course, share is love. Love is share. Thank you so much. Any last advice or anything you want to encourage before we go?
Yeah, absolutely. Be a part of the movement. Understand that the world does revolve around you, and don't make anybody tell you any different, because if you don't put yourself first, nothing else works right. If you don't get out of bed in the morning, nothing that you're supposed to do is going to happen, okay? Always, always, always understand that you are first priority, and do what you need to do for yourself. When you wake up, check in on yourself. Give yourself that love and comfort and support, and open yourself up to be a supporter and be supported. It's so, so important, okay?
Wow, that's a lovely message. Thank you so much, Kimani. Really, it was a pleasure.
Thank you so much. Thanks, guys.
Bye, and this is the MADTING.